Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Wing Commander Steve Wiedemann. We welcome the veterans who have served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Service Clubs Association, and we welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial, students on behalf of Baynton West Primary School, visiting from Baynton, Western Australia, and students on behalf of the Scotch College Family Group. Now, if you're able, I invite you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, students. Please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Claude Melville. Claude Melville was born in South Australia on the 12th of March 1892. He was the eldest son of George and Emily Melville of what was then known as Petersburg, South Australia. Petersburg would change its name to the less Germanic Petersburg during the World War. Claude was educated in Adelaide and went on to work as a printer, taking on various jobs and positions at the Petersburg Times, the Port Augusta Dispatch and the Yorktown Pioneer. A leader in the Petersburg Boys Brigade, he remained active in the communities to which he later moved. He was the secretary of the Yorktown Cricket Club, a member of the brass band, assistant to the secretary of the Methodist Sunday School, and a member of the Foresters Lodge. Claude Melville enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in November 1915. He underwent a period of training in Adelaide before leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements to the 27th Battalion on board the troop ship at Aeneas. Private Melville was first sent to Egypt, where he continued training in the desert before continuing on to England. Shortly after arriving in England, Private Melville undertook a training course in signalling at the White Regis camp and qualified as a battalion signaller. He then went on to join his battalion on the battlefields of the Western Front in 1917. Private Melville arrived during one of the coldest winters on record. Not long after his arrival, the German army began a withdrawal to a prepared defensive position known as the Hindenburg Line. The 27th Battalion was involved in following up parts of the withdrawal, arriving at the Hindenburg Line near the French village of Beulecourt by early May 1917. In the early hours of the 3rd of May 1917, a number of Australian battalions were ordered to attack the Hindenburg Line near Beulecourt. Melville and another signaller, Private Walter Wagner, were ordered to go forward with the attacking infantry and establish a telephone wire across no man's land. One of their companions, Private Cyril Oswald, later recalled, "We knew well what a risky job it was, but we had all been in tight corners before. We packed their phones and wire and saw that their arms and ammunition were clean and in good order. While they had supper, they were both cheerful, buckled on their equipment and shook hands." Private Oswald and his companions never saw Claude Melville or Walter Wagner again, although he did find out what happened. He wrote, "It seemed impossible for any living thing to get across that open ground, yet our boys got across and fought hand in hand with bombs and bayonets. Wags and Dick Melville got safely across and must have laid their wires as they went, for a message came through to say that they were okay. Later that day, however, both poor chaps were killed by their posts when a shell came through their bivvy. A few days later, Walter Wagner's mates snuck out into no man's land to find their bodies and to leave 2 small crosses for Claude and Walter. Claude's mother was later told that they found his body without a mark on it and with the telephone receiver still pressed to his ear. Today, Claude Melville lies in the Queen Road Cemetery, Busey, a few graves away from that of Walter Wagner. His epitaph reads, "A higher service now to him is given. God's way is surely best." Claude Melville was killed in action, aged just 25. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Claude Melville, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reciting of the ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We'll leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, the staff and the volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.